All right, Bellringer fanatics here in Living Environment. It's Tuesday, and man, just keep creeping closer to that Regents exam. It's coming up on Friday. Friday is the Regents exam, and we've been reviewing all the last 2 weeks. We've been reviewing big topics in biology, living environment. And today we're going to go look at the immune system, the immune response, because it's always some of that on the Regents and the things that they expect you to know. So. Yeah, let's have a great Tuesday, and let's start today's Bellringer.
All right.
Hey now.
Mr. Kovacs class. It's Mr. Kovacs class. You might learn a ton. It's Mr. Kovacs class.
He's interested too.
It's Mr. Kovacs class. And he's super cool. It's Mr. Kovacs class.
We've studied the immune response. Remember the Peppa Pig virus game and stuff like that? Things that make you sick we call pathogens, and they can be, right? Pathogens can be things like viruses or bacteria or even funguses or small animals like worms and things like that, or living things that make you, or biological agents that make you sick are called pathogens, right? And our immune system is the body system that's designed to defend against pathogens. And we have lots of different types of cells, right? But it's all done at the cellular level, right? I think I introduced you to the big eater, the macrophage, right? This is just kind of a general cell that floats around in your body and checking out antigens, markers on the outside of other cells. And if they are supposed to be there, they let them go. And if they don't, well, then they eat them. Macrophage at work, and you can see it's going in between some blood cells. And if you look closely, you can see there's some there, it just got engulfed, some bacterial cells that just got eaten by this macrophage. See the little double, there it goes, and now it's just been engulfed. It's been wrapped up and eaten. Macrophage. How do they know what to eat? They check for antigens, right? The markers on the outside of the cell membranes. Antigens are, of course, they're usually made out of protein and maybe some carbohydrate, and they identify cells as being what they are. Right? It's kind of like they go around checking ID, and if your ID is good, they'll let you go. If your ID is not good, they will eat you. That's it. Right, so that's kind of like your primary immune system, right? More of like the primary immune system defense. But then we have some specific immune responses that we do. A little video clip of a macrophage eating a whole bunch of bacterial cells. You can see, just wrap them up and eat them. Then they send their lysosomes, right, and digest those bacterial cells, break them into pieces. There are other cells too that have various jobs, right? Dendritic cells, basophils, eosinophils, but you got to know the macrophage is the big eater, right? And then the other cells that you'll need to know for the Regents are called the lymphocytes. They're the adaptive. This is the specific immune response, the immune response that has memory. This is the immune response. It's kind of like your third line of defense, your most efficient type of response. And the two cells you need to know are B cells and T cells. B cells do is B cells make antibodies, right? And they have antibodies. And antibodies are designed to attach to the surfaces of pathogens. T cells, their job is to destroy cells that are already infected, right? So they destroy cells that are infected, right? So that's how they fix the problem, right? Okay. Antigens are made by B cells, right? And antigens clamp on the outside, and then usually what that does is it disables the pathogen, makes them stick together more often than not, so that a macrophage can come and eat them. Right, here's antibodies stuck onto the antigens of various pathogens. Antibodies, right, made out of protein, and they bind to antigens. So here's the immune system in a nutshell, right? Macrophages eat germs or pathogens. They show the antigens to T cells. T cells go off to destroy any cells that are showing that antigen, right? They also show that antibody to B cells, right? B cells, of course, then start making, an antigen to B cells. B cells start making antibodies that will mark germs for destruction, and it will paralyze them so they can be destroyed by T cells or by macrophages. Immune response. About vaccines, vaccinations, right? Vaccinations are basically you give somebody a disease, but you weaken it, so they just get the antigens for the disease. And then the immune system will go ahead and build antibodies for disease so that the next time you see it, you'll be able to fight it faster, right? That's a vaccine. And vaccines we talked about have worked. They've saved thousands and thousands of people, right? Especially we talked about like smallpox has been eradicated because of vaccination programs run by people. Right? And then, of course, antibiotics are the other thing that we've learned about. Antibiotics actually only work on bacterial cells, and they cause bacterial cells to basically blow themselves apart. Antibiotics. So they help your immune system. So antibodies, antigens, antibiotics, vaccines, those are the things you need to know. Right? So how do vaccines work? Weakened form of the disease is injected. You make antibodies. Antibodies are there for when the actual disease shows up. Right? Vaccines. And of course, we know a lot about vaccines these days because they are ubiquitous. You can't come to school without them.